Do you know what truly unsettles people? It's not shouting, it's not arguing, and it's certainly not trying to prove a point. What really gets under the skin is silence, but not just any silence. It's the kind that comes from a man who knows his worth so deeply that he doesn't need to defend it. It's the calm, steady silence of someone who refuses to let another person's actions control his emotions. Imagine two men, both deeply invested in a woman who suddenly begins to pull away. The first man spirals. He texts, he calls, he demands answers. His mind races with confusion, and he tries desperately to fix something that's slipping through his fingers. But the second man, he does the unexpected. He steps back, not out of indifference, but out of strength. He doesn't chase, doesn't argue, doesn't plead for clarity. He simply keeps moving forward, living his life as if her absence isn't enough to disturb the peace he's built within himself. At first, she might not notice. She might even assume he didn't care that much to begin with. But over time, something changes. She starts to wonder, why isn't he reacting? Did he not care? Or was he stronger than she realized? And in that space, in that stillness, she begins to feel the weight of his absence. That's the power of emotional control. It's not manipulation, it's not a tactic, it's a reflection of self-mastery. It's understanding that your confidence, your sense of self, your peace should never be dependent on anyone else. The man who doesn't react, who doesn't chase, who remains grounded, becomes unforgettable. Because real strength doesn't scream or beg to be heard. It simply walks away when it's no longer being valued, with quiet confidence that speaks louder than words ever could. And that, right there, is where true power begins. Point 1. When you react, you lose control. Let's get real for a second. When someone pulls away, especially someone you deeply care about, your first instinct is to react. You want answers, you want clarity, you want to fix it. And in that moment of confusion and emotional vulnerability, it's easy to fall into the trap of chasing, explaining, or trying to convince her to see your worth. But here's the hard truth. The moment you react emotionally, you give away your power. You hand over the keys to your peace of mind and allow someone else to dictate how you feel, how you behave, and how you see yourself. That's not strength, that's surrender. Now think about the men who command real respect, the ones people admire in silence. They don't beg, they don't crumble, they don't flood phones with desperate messages or try to prove they're the one. They observe, they process, and then they move forward with calm, calculated intention. That's power, because when you stop reacting, you regain control. You flip the script. She expects you to break down, to reach out, to question everything. But when you don't, when you remain composed, unbothered, and grounded, the dynamic shifts entirely. Suddenly, she's not in control anymore. She's the one wondering, why isn't he reacting? Did I misread him? Did I lose someone irreplaceable? And in that silence, your presence becomes louder than anything you could ever say. This isn't about being emotionally distant or cold. It's about knowing yourself so well, valuing yourself so deeply that someone else's actions can't shake your core. A man who can master his emotions, especially in moments of pain or rejection, is a man who becomes unforgettable. Not because he made noise, but because he made silence feel powerful. That's the kind of presence that lingers. That's the kind of strength that turns respect into reverence. Quick break. Close your eyes for a second. Picture her, the girl you've always wanted. Feel what it would be like to actually have her. Now open your eyes, because here's the truth. Right now, you're invisible to her. You're getting outcompeted by guys with more money, better looks, higher status, and stronger game. You're playing a rigged game, and you're losing. But I've spent the last 35 years mastering this, studying, testing, and finally finding the secrets to get the girls I always wanted. You want to stop getting ignored? You want her chasing you? Then you need to wake up and act. Click the link in the comments if you are truly committed and take the first step toward becoming that guy. Few spots left. Be fast or miss out your last chance to make her yours. Let's get back to it. Point 2. Why women subconsciously test men. Have you ever noticed how sometimes a woman will suddenly grow distant, challenge your opinions, or make a comment that seems designed to trigger a reaction? Most guys, when faced with this, panic. They overthink every word, chase harder, or fall into the trap of trying to fix the situation. But here's what they miss. More often than not, she's not doing it intentionally. It's not always a game, it's instinct. A subconscious behavior rooted in the way women are wired, to test for strength, to seek stability, to feel secure in a man's presence. It's not about manipulation, it's about protection. Because if a small shift in her tone, her mood, or her attention can throw you into emotional chaos, what does that say about how you'll handle real pressure? What happens when life throws curveballs bigger than a difficult conversation or a brief moment of emotional distance? Women test men not to be cruel, but because they need to feel safe, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And to feel safe, they need to feel your strength. So when she pulls away, don't chase. When she challenges you, don't collapse into defensiveness or start scrambling to win her back. Stay still, stay calm, stay grounded. Let your response be no response, not because you don't care, but because you're not shaken. Show her, not through arguments or explanations, but through your presence, your composure, and your energy, that you are a man who remains firm regardless of the emotional storm around him. That's the kind of man who earns lasting respect, not just from women, but from everyone. Because the ability to remain centered, to hold your frame when things feel uncertain, isn't just attractive, it's magnetic, it's rare, it's powerful, and when you master that level of control, people feel it before you even speak. Point 3, why you don't need it. Let's talk about something most people don't want to admit, that thing you keep telling yourself you need in order to move on. Closure. You're sitting there thinking, if she would just explain why, if she gave me one good reason, I could let go. But here's the truth, and it might sting a little. Closure is an illusion. It's not the answer you're really after. It's relief. You're not searching for information. You're searching for something to soothe the pain. And the moment you start looking to her to take that pain away, you give her complete control over your emotional state. That's not strength. That's dependency. Now let's be brutally honest for a second. If she truly valued your peace of mind, if she genuinely cared about your emotional well-being, would she have left you confused and hurting in the first place? Maybe not. So even if she came back with the perfect explanation, even if she gave you all the reasons you're asking for, it wouldn't undo what happened. It wouldn't heal you, because closure doesn't come from answers. It comes from acceptance, from realizing that no matter how it ended, your healing is your responsibility, not hers. The truth is, you don't need her to make peace with the past. You need to stop looking backward and start looking inward. Stop asking why she did what she did and start asking what you're going to do with the pain. Because the moment you stop chasing answers and start choosing growth, that's when the shift happens. That's when you take your power back. You stop needing clarity to move forward. You stop giving someone else the keys to your healing, and that's when you start to level up, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Closure isn't something she gives you. It's a decision you make for yourself, a moment where you draw a line in the sand and say, this chapter ends now. Not because it made sense, not because it was fair, but because I refuse to let it define me any longer. And when you stand in that truth, when you stop waiting and start rising, you don't just move on, you become untouchable. Point 4. The power of silence and distance. Let's be honest, man. When someone you care about starts acting distant, pulling away, or giving you mixed signals, the first thing you want to do is speak. You want to explain yourself, ask what's wrong, get answers, or maybe even fight to prove your worth. That need to talk, to fix, to seek closure, it's overwhelming. But here's the truth that most people never learn. Sometimes the most powerful move you can make is to say absolutely nothing at all. Silence, when it comes from a place of self-worth, is not weakness. It's strength in its most focused form. Because when you choose not to react, when you resist the urge to chase, to explain, or to plead, you create space. And in that space, something unexpected happens. She starts to feel your absence. You see, she expected you to respond. She assumed you'd get emotional, reach out, ask questions, try to pull her back in. But when you don't, when you remain centered and unbothered, it disrupts the entire narrative. Suddenly, she's not in control of the dynamic anymore. She's left questioning. Why didn't he respond? Did he move on? Did I misjudge him? And now, instead of you being the one overthinking, she is. That's not manipulation. That's the power of restraint. That's what happens when you prioritize dignity over desperation. Silence and distance aren't about punishing her. They're about protecting you. It's not about playing hard to get. It's about being hard to shake. It's about showing without a single word that you are not a man who begs for validation or chases after someone who doesn't see your value. You don't need to convince anyone to stay. You don't need to explain your worth. And while she's wondering why you disappeared, you're not just sitting there in silence. You're building. You're growing. You're improving yourself mentally, physically, emotionally. You're turning pain into power. So stop wasting energy on conversations that won't change anything. Let your absence speak volumes. Let your silence be the boundary that reminds people what they lost. Because a man who can remain calm, composed, and focused, even in the face of rejection, isn't just rare, he's dangerous. And that's exactly the kind of man people remember. Point 5. Elevation over explanation, turning pain into power. Let's be real, heartbreak hurts. Rejection, betrayal, confusion, it hits deep, especially when you didn't see it coming. You feel like the rug's been pulled out from under you and the pain feels personal. It makes you question your worth, your choices, and everything you thought was real. And in that space, you're faced with a decision, a defining moment. You can let this pain consume you, or you can let it refine you. You can sit in the ashes of what was, or you can rise into what could be. This is where boys stay stuck and where men begin to evolve. Most guys, they take the first route. They obsess, they spiral, they replay conversations over and over in their heads, trying to decode what went wrong. They stalk her social media, searching for clues, trying to piece together a story that might give them closure. They drown in the questions, but the ones who truly rise, the ones who turn pain into power, they choose something radically different. They don't beg for answers. They don't sit and wait for apologies. They redirect all of that emotional energy into transformation. They take the weight of heartbreak and turn it into fuel. Hit the gym, not out of spite, but out of discipline. Train like you've got something to prove to yourself. Dive into your goals with an intensity that even you didn't know you had. Start building a life that excites you, that challenges you, that centers you. Become so grounded in your purpose, so committed to your growth, that no woman, no matter how beautiful, no matter how much history you share, has the power to knock you off your path again. Because now, it's not about her, it's about you. And here's the twist. While you're out there leveling up, getting sharper, stronger, more confident, she'll notice. Maybe not today, maybe not next week, but eventually she'll see the version of you that came out of the fire. And when she does, she'll wonder how she ever let you slip away. But by then, you won't be waiting. You won't need her validation, because you'll have evolved beyond the version of yourself that needed closure, that needed someone else's love to feel worthy. You see, real power doesn't come from explaining your worth to anyone. It comes from embodying it. So stop trying to convince someone that you matter. Start becoming the man who knows he does and lives like it. You don't elevate by winning her back. You elevate by outgrowing the version of you that was willing to lose yourself for love. And when you do that, nothing and no one can break you again. Point 6. Confidence comes from within, not her approval. Let's clear something up once and for all. Confidence isn't something you get from a woman's attention, her compliments, or even her love. True confidence, the kind that turns heads, earns respect, and makes you magnetic, comes from within. It's not found in her text messages or in whether she chooses you or not. It's built in silence, in the grind, in the quiet moments where you look in the mirror and know exactly who you are without needing anyone else to remind you. The second you start seeking a woman's approval to feel worthy, you've already handed away your power. And trust me, she can feel it. Women are intuitive. They can sense when a man needs their validation to feel like a man. And when they do, the respect starts to fade, because no one, not even the most well-meaning woman, can give you the confidence you refuse to build for yourself. Think about the men who walk into a room and instantly command presence. They don't beg for attention. They don't chase people who walk away. They don't shrink when someone disapproves. Why? Because they know who they are. Their value isn't up for negotiation. They live by their own standards, their own code, and that makes them unshakable. Here's the ironic truth. The moment you stop needing approval is the moment you start receiving it. Because confidence is attractive, but not the loud, arrogant kind. The quiet, unbothered kind. The kind that doesn't ask for permission to exist. The kind that doesn't change based on who's watching. That's the kind of confidence that lasts. So stop looking outside yourself for something only you can create. Stop chasing validation from women, friends, or the world. Build yourself up. Lock into your purpose. Set your own standards and never lower them for anyone. Because the man who doesn't seek validation, he's the one who gets it, not because he needs it, but because he earned it simply by becoming who he was always meant to be. At the end of the day, this entire journey, the heartbreak, the silence, the struggle to understand, it was never about proving something to her. It was about proving something to yourself. That you could take the pain, the rejection, the confusion, and instead of letting it destroy you, use it to build yourself into someone stronger, sharper, and more self-aware than you've ever been. You don't win by making her miss you. You don't win by getting her back or making her regret leaving. You win by mastering yourself, because the ultimate flex isn't revenge, it's peace. It's waking up in the morning grounded in who you are, unshaken by what someone else did or didn't do. That kind of inner strength, it can't be faked, it's felt. The strongest response to being hurt isn't a dramatic speech, a last-ditch text, or even strategic silence meant to manipulate a reaction. No. It's walking away with your head high, your heart open, and your focus locked on becoming the best version of you. That's real power. That's what can't be taken away. So if you take one thing from all this, let it be this. No woman, no relationship, no single moment should ever have the power to derail your peace or define your worth. Your energy is sacred, your time is valuable, and your future is bigger than this moment. The man who rises, who grows, who chooses discipline over desperation, that man doesn't need to prove his value. He becomes undeniable. And when you move through life with that kind of self-mastery, trust me, you won't need her to realize what she lost. She'll see it all on her own, and by then, you'll be too far ahead to look back. If you found this insight valuable, make sure to subscribe to The Girl's Mind for more wisdom on mastering your life and attraction. Until next time, stay strong, stay centered, and always remember, the key to attraction isn't in chasing, it's in being. But for those of you who are serious about stepping up and taking control, I've created a one-on-one chat with me. Choose your package and let's solve any problem you're facing, whether it's crushing your goals or handling that conversation with a girl.